So, did She-Hulk get better after the first episode? Of course not. The fundamental problem of She-Hulk still remains. She's not allowed to be funny. Just think of any of your favorite comedic shows or movies. So much of the comedy stems from the fact that the characters are flawed, generally having strong personality quirks that conflict and bounce off the other characters. You take these quirky characters and put them into a wacky situation, and bing bong boom, you got comedy. But She-Hulk isn't allowed to be flawed, allowed to even be quirky. She must be the perfect girl boss. So that makes it incredibly difficult for her to even exist in a comedic situation, which is generally making fun of the characters that are involved. You can't have a comedic show where we, the audience, are generally supposed to laugh at the wacky characters if we're not allowed to laugh at Jen. I think even the writers of the show are aware of this. I'll explain why later. First, let's go over episode 2 and 3. Episode 2 opens with a news media montage, where we learn the identity of random cleavage character is super influencer Titania. Don't worry, she doesn't come back for 2 episodes, if she comes back at all, so aside from her being the person responsible for outing She-Hulk, something girl boss Jen Walters spends the entire episode whining about, she's never brought up again. The media coverage ends with a touching bit of realism, where a man outside the courthouse describes girl boss Hulk as pretty decent. Wow, tough crowd. And we get to see where girl boss Hulk gets her name.
Turn into a Hulk, like a chick Hulk.
Anyways, we quickly learn the media, the city, and the entire universe is head over heels for Chick Hulk, so Jen Walters heads to a bar with supportive sidekick Chick to unwind after a long day of girl bossing when she hears cheering and adoration for She-Hulk coming from the people inside. After a brief attempt of modesty from Jen not wanting to go Hulk form, supportive sidechick convinces Chick Hulk to Hulk up and confidently stroll into the bar. Nice try, Jen. We all know you had to pick out an appropriate wardrobe to be able to Hulk out after work without your clothing ripping, so you planned this from the beginning, didn't you?
Liar!
Inside the bar, everyone is overjoyed to see the Mass Effect Andromeda animators finally getting work again from Marvel. Isn't that nice? Of course, annoying Man-Thing from episode 1 shows up to accuse Jen of grandstanding and nepotism before slipping off to sexually assault one of the patrons. Though at least he gets points for his lines actually being somewhat funny, because unlike Jen, he's allowed to be a flawed a-hole. Chick Hulk then complains about being awesome and loved. Oh, how sad for her. And tries to tell her own joke.
I did not go to law school and rack up 6 figures in student loans to become a vigilante, that is for billionaires and narcissists, and adult orphans for some reason.
She complains about her 6-figure law school debt and how being an Avenger doesn't pay. And, well, this is very stupid. First of all, no one joins the DA's office for the money. If Jen is really that motivated by cash, she would have joined a private law firm where the money actually is. But then she might be an actual sleazy lawyer and not a valiant public servant of the people. You know, like an actually good show about a lawyer.
According to the police, I may have murdered an elderly man. Help. Julie in Colorado. Julie, don't use the word murder and don't write it down, ever.
Second, this whole Avengers doesn't pay thing is insanely stupid. They invented this nonsense for the Falcon show just to create drama, and it's one of the worst plot points ever. Just something to add to the list of Marvel TV shows adding details to destroy the very universe they're in. In Avengers 2, Tony says he pays for everything.
Lab's all set up, boss.
Oh, actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
I guess this is retconned now? The idea that billionaire Tony wouldn't pay the actual Avengers themselves is totally insane and nonsensical. You don't want your Avengers having to moonlight at Chuck E. Cheese's or selling their likeness for shoe commercials like in The Boys, or doing private hero work for money, which could conflict with saving people, also like in The Boys. The idea that people who saved the entire planet from aliens and brought half the universe back to life wouldn't be taken care of financially by Stark or even the US government is literally insane. Speaking of insane, Chick Hulk's boss, the district attorney, shows up to declare that he is in fact the dumbest character in the entire Marvel universe. He does this by firing Chick Hulk. This makes absolutely no sense. Now, the case she was handling would have to be retried because, yes, Chick Hulk saving the jury's lives would, probably bias them in her favor, but every DA's office in America would kill to have a literal superhero on their team. See, DAs are generally elected positions, which means they get into office based on this little thing called public support. Right now, the public loves Chick-Hulk, and you better believe any DA would love to have Jen go out and campaign for them and rack up the votes. Not to mention the DA's office would love to have a well-liked superhero whose mere presence in the courtroom would wow the jury and add validity in their minds that she was in fact locking up the bad guys. But despite common sense, because the show needs to contrive conflict for Jen without it actually making sense because they can't have her be a flawed character, the DA does the exact opposite of the thing that he would do in real life. Gee, I wonder if voters would support him if they learned he fired beloved superhero Chick-Hulk for saving people's lives. So after her termination, Jen immediately hits the pavement, dead set on finding a job in what I like to call the world that never existed. It's a place where a young charismatic superhero, beloved by all, can't find a job because she's just too controversial. Shouldn't she have like dozens of job offers? Wouldn't every law firm in the world want to hire her now? Couldn't she single-handedly use her new fame to launch her own private practice? It's almost like this episode was originally written like how I said episode 1 should have ended in the previous video, with Jen losing her temper in the courtroom and hulking out accidentally. Then this entire sequence would have made complete sense. But somewhere along the writing process, someone said, "You can't have Jen lose her temper by accident. That's a sexist." So the end got changed to girl boss, but they were too lazy to change this part. Oh well. Jen then has a family dinner with at least one funny joke.
Jen, there is the nicest young man who works at the coffee shop that I go to. His name is Yusuf.
Do not set me up, Mom.
No, he's much too young for you.
You're really old.
And part of the reason it's funny is because it's one of the few times we're actually allowed to laugh at Jen. Amazing how that works. We also learn her dad is actually a pretty cool dad. Yay. Alcoholic Jen, who appears to spend all her free time in bars, is once again trying to drown out her sorrows. And no, this doesn't count as a character flaw because it's not portrayed that way.
Like cool drinking, like sexy drinking, not this psycho trailer park shit.
When a job Jen never applied for falls directly into her lap. Wow. If she just stayed at home for a few days, she could have avoided all the rejection and still accomplished her goal. I swear, laziness is the real superpower. I would ask how this guy knows that Jen is even in this bar to offer her the job instead of just calling her on the phone, but, you know.
I was also late because of my drinking and mentioned it to zero applause.
So Jen starts her new job when she's confronted with the conflict of the story. Her new boss wants her to head a new division of the company dedicated entirely to superhero law, and wants her to be She-Hulk at work 9 to 5. Yes, they want Jen to be the mascot / diversity hire. Now throughout the episode, Jen is asked to Hulk out, then unhulk out at multiple times. And maybe it would be pretty funny if this actually inconvenienced Jen, like when she's on her first day at the job unprepared to be She-Hulk and then has to come into the office her clothes barely fitting her. And she looks ridiculous like a cave woman wearing a way too small suit. And later, when she's wearing clothes that actually fit her as She-Hulk and has to turn back in the prison, she now looks like a ridiculous kid wearing her mom's suit. Jen's pain and adversity would be our comedy. But no. In current year, we can't have our girl boss ever be embarrassed or uncomfortable, so her clothing somehow always fits her just enough to look good. After she grapples with the pain and anguish of being hired for her immutable characteristics, she takes the job, and she's on to her first case, overseeing the parole hearing of Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination. You know, that guy you probably completely forgot about that was in the first Hulk movie you maybe never saw or saw once like 10 years ago that tried to kill Bruce? That guy. Since Blonsky tried to kill her cousin Bruce that one time, she's undecided about taking the case until she can meet Mr. A-Bomb. Now you think part of the joke, or at least the conflict would be, that Jen, who is fighting against being a superhero, who went from being a deputy DA, would then have to defend some sleazy client. You know, challenge her ethics. Present her with an actual difficult choice. So do you think that happens?
You serious?
Of course not. Jen travels to the most creatively designed super security prison in the entire world to find Mr. Abomination is completely reformed. He writes haikus now and has 7 soulmates he's met through the prison pen pal program. It turns out Mr. Abomination is the real victim here, done in by the very system that created him. Comedy? Then despite Jen's six-figure debt she talked about earlier in the episode, we find out that she lives in a rather nice-looking duplex. Because, it would add too much character if Jen had to live in a crummy-looking place. Jen calls Bruce to see how he feels about her defending A-Bomb. Just kidding, she doesn't actually care. She's just telling Bruce that she's defending A-Bomb. Of course, Hulk is totally down with Jen doing this and doesn't care. Whew! Conflict avoided. It sure would be terrible if Jen had to face actual tension or a difficult choice in this dramatized narrative between taking a job she wants and pissing off her cousin, and they have to argue about how this is really his fault for turning her into the Hulk in the first place. But nah, don't worry about it. Everything is smooth sailing. So Jen agrees to take the job, agrees to fight for the underdog, chewed up and spit out by a corrupt system. But of course, the social justice endorphin rush doesn't last long, because she turns on the TV to find out that Mr. Abomination has escaped from prison and is fighting in an illegal underground fight club. Oh no! Shenanigans! Well, not really. See, episode 3 starts and Abomination is back in prison? Wait, what? Didn't he just break out? From the conversation that Jen has with him, they make it sound like the breakout happened a while ago and not just yesterday. So wait, why didn't the prison tell her that A-Bomb had escaped previously? Why did it take so long for the news to come out? I don't understand! But don't worry, Mr. Abomination has been victimized once again. See, he was forced to escape prison against his will by none other than Doctor Strange's sidekick, Sorcerer Supreme Wong.
Just Wong.
Sorry, just Wong. And afterwards, A-Bomb returned to his cell voluntarily and insisted on paying off his debt to society. Wow. It's a good thing that A-Bomb is totally in the moral clear. It sure would have been terrible if Jen had to face actual tension or a difficult choice in this. Wait, haven't we been here before? I feel like we've been here before. Jen then breaks the fourth wall to assure us that the show producers will one day run out of real stars to carry this show instead of her. Oh wait. Then we get another media montage and hey look, it's me, a misogynist on the internet complaining about She-Hulk. I'm sure he makes really great criticism and isn't a complete straw man saying stupid things no one would ever say in the context of a female character that's been around for 40 years.
I have no problem with female heroes. I'm just saying, make your own.
So we have a Me Too movement.
Oh look, a hashtag Me Too reference. Topical. Meanwhile, at law firm, Chick Hulk strolls over to learn about a new case, and apparently Disney fired the Mass Effect animation team and replaced them with environmentally displaced baby seals, I assume to improve their ESG score. And I swear to Kang, they must be trying to make Chick Hulk look ugly on purpose. Either that or someone mixed up the assets from Rob Zombie's Munster reboot. They both look like they have the same level of comedy, so it's an easy mistake for a baby seal animator displaced by climate change to make. Also, strangely in Hulk form, Jen's suit somehow looks too big for her now. This is literally the opposite of what should be happening. In the earlier scene, Jen is talking to A-Bomb and her suit fits her perfectly. Oh, but wait, it's a different suit. Well, then later in the car, she's wearing her She-Hulk suit, which looks big on her, but oddly only slightly bigger than it looks on her when she's in Hulk form. So this means that she got dressed in one suit, went to the prison, then either went all the way back home or to like a 7-Eleven bathroom and changed into her oversized suit before going to work. Maybe we, the audience, should see this. See Jen struggling with being a Hulk. See her being inconvenienced by all this. I'm sure plenty of women would empathize with the on-the-job clothing-related drama instead of Jen just simply being the perfect girl boss. Anyway, it turns out that sexist man guy from episode 1 is back. I'll explain why they bothered to bring this character back later. It's important. Man doesn't want a lady to handle his case because they have lady parts and thus are inherently stupid.
You spotty, me dumb, help witty, have fun!
So he asked this random guy who will probably be Jen's love interest down the road to handle the case. But more importantly, sexist man guy's presence indicates that American Chavez from the terrible Doctor Strange sequel isn't the only person who can travel the multiverse, as obviously this man dude bro is a character originally from the 1960s set show Mad Men, as there is no other possible explanation for how any living, breathing human writing this show could think a man this stupidly, openly chauvinistic could exist in the year 2022. Good job, ladies. You solved sexism.
Oh, and sorry about Mr. Campbell here. He left his manners back at the fraternity house.
So the plot is Don Derper here has been defrauded by a mid-60s grandma out of $175,000. Evidently, she's a shape-shifting elf from
Asgard
who's going around pretending to be a sexy famous singer I've never heard of because I'm an old man, just so she can trick men into lavishing her with expensive gifts. I wonder if these gifts came before or after he had sex with her under false pretenses, which in many states is considered rape. Luckily, the show never dives deeply into the question, and we're allowed to just laugh at a victim of sexual assault. Well, he is a male, so I guess rape is funny. Also, he's sexist, so shut up, audience. He had it coming. I guess hashtag #MeToo only applies to women. Hashtag he too deserved it. Just then, Just Wong shows up and holy crap, why is the CG movement on She-Hulk so bad? Like, her face looks fine, but she moves so awkwardly. Oh, it's so bad. Wong says he did break Abomination out days before his crucial parole hearing, but it's okay, because it was to save the world. Wait, no. Wong says he, Sorcerer Supreme, broke out a criminal and fought him in a public underground arena because he needed to fight a worthy opponent for his wizarding exam? What the f- That's right. He didn't have to save the planet or stop the most dangerous supervillain alive. He just needed to beat someone up for a test. What a hero. Wong wants to use magic to fix the situation for Jen, but she's like, no, just tell the parole board what happened. And I will admit, for a brief scene, I actually saw a spark of something good. There's a hint, a glimmer of a good show here underneath the grime and gunk. I bet all the superhero hijinks in the various Marvel movies generate tons of weird lawsuits from all the damage and destruction. A show about Jen, an overworked, put upon every woman, having to wrangle all these crazy Marvel heroes and villains through the mundane legal system could be pretty entertaining. I kind of unironically want to see an episode where Doctor Strange gets into an angry fight with a local community board filled with Karens because they pass a new ordinance making it illegal to open portals within the neighborhood. Anyways, soon it's time for Big A's probation hearing. Abomination's 7 hippie wives are present, and that's funny because, I don't know, joke? But evidently Wong, who caused this entire mess, doesn't know how Google Calendar works and is nowhere to be seen. So Girl Boss has to stall. Unfortunately for her, the parole board has an evil white male who just wants to throw the book at A-bomb. But fortunately for Jen, there's a good woman of color also there that shuts Whitey down and doesn't let Jen throw away her shot. Then we're subjected to a series of jokes about how A-bomb is actually the best soul in the entire world and how he's personally helped every single person in this prison, which contradicts the guards all telling Jen that he's super dangerous last episode, but who cares? More importantly, it's just not funny. It's not even a joke. I don't even know what this is. Finally, Just Wong arrives with no other explanation of his tardiness other than that he just lost track of time. Geez, Wong, this is only about saving the future life of someone you screwed over here. Why didn't they have Wong come out of the portal battling a monster, then he cuts it in half by closing the portal, which ends up drenching the entire parole board in blood, like in Thor Ragnarok? That would have been a pretty funny scene. You know, then it would have been an actual joke and would have added additional stakes to the scene, maybe? Regardless, Justin Wong explains everything, but of course, that's not enough for the parole board. They're worried that Mr. A-B testing at any moment could turn into a rage-filled monster and destroy the city. So Mr. Abba then surprises everyone by transforming into his monster form with complete ease and control, and then turning back human. Wow, I guess everyone can just do this now. Maybe Jen isn't so special after all. However, for no reason, everyone is horrified at the sight of Abomination's transformation, even though he seems to be just as kind and articulate, but you know, we need fake conflict and tension since the show lacks any real stakes, and the board adjourns to contemplate the situation. Meanwhile, Don Draper is in court with shape-shifting Gewilf, grandma I wouldn't want to fuck, and her attorney. The entire scene is so incredibly pointless, there's nothing else even worth saying about it. Outside the parole hearing, some people are big mad at Girl Boss for defending A-Boy. I guess no one told them he was a victim of the system. Damn, Jen. Often part of the job of a lawyer in a high-profile case is to help manage their client's public image. You're sure doing a crap job. Over drinks, we learn the writer's futile attempt to add conflict for Jen in the show. See, they wrote the whole episode and then after said, "Oh no, we forgot to give Jen some kind of personal conflict or challenge or character arc. What do we do? So they shoehorned in this fake arc for Jen. Her assistant girl boss wants Jen to quell the rumors by giving an actual interview, you know, getting out in front of the story. But Jen doesn't want to do that because if she did that, there wouldn't be any fake conflict. That's the only reason. There's no other reason. Then future romantic interest appears and his case is not going very well. Somehow? Supposedly he's worried that no one would believe that Don Derp didn't know he was unwittingly banging a grandma.
I find it hard to believe that Mr. Bukowski could be fooled so easily.
And the onus is on you to prove that, Mr. Pugliese.
Why anyone would have trouble believing a person could be tricked by a shapeshifter is never explained. But this is all just a flimsy excuse to have a hilarious scene where Jen goes on the witness stand and says Donnie here is stupid. He got defrauded hundreds of thousands of dollars and sexually assaulted. Comedy gold! Well, it works, and the judge declares Derper the winner of the case. Wait, where's the jury? The judge can't just declare him the winner. This wasn't a summary judgment, they literally set this up as a question of fact, not law, and no one asked for a non-jury trial, nor would the defense in this case ever agree to one. So I'm glad our legal show can't even get basic lawyering things right, like having a jury? Anyways, the parole board decides to allow Abba out of prison on the condition that he never turns into the A-bomb again. And also in a throwaway line, they say they're going to make him wear an inhibitor collar. Now, this is a device from the X-Men comics that prevents mutants, and I guess metahumans now, from using their powers. This little throwaway line, of course, causes massive problems to the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. If they have magic collars that prevent people from using their powers, even if they're not mutants, why the hell is Abomination not already wearing one in prison? And wait, why couldn't Bruce have been using one of those collars to prevent himself from turning into the Hulk all these years? Why didn't they just pop one on Wanda? She's trying to destroy the multiverse. These collars have so many applications in the Marvel Universe, and they just open this Pandora's box with a throwaway line. Is it like a rule that every Marvel TV show has to destroy the continuity of the Marvel Universe or something? Wait, did they have those collars in the Marvel Civil War movie or something? I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. It's stupid. Then the writers remember that fake character arc conflict they shoehorned in about Jen not wanting to be interviewed, and so A-Bomb just says to her, hey Jen, you should go do an interview, because obviously people are just going to keep talking about you regardless. And then she's like, oh yes, thank you, Wise Guru, for this amazing sage advice. So Jen does the interview based off of this one line. Now, if this was an actual comedy show, the interview would have gone horribly wrong, with a reporter tripping Jen up with questions, and she would make herself look terrible in some funny and amusing way. But sadly, the year is 2022, and comedy is not allowed to happen at the expense of girl bosses. So the interview is just cringy and awkward and not even remotely funny. Also, the CGI is really weird, like they couldn't get the She-Hulk lips to sync correctly or something, so it looks like someone is off screen holding up an ogre Fiona puppet. I think it's time to skin those baby seals and just look for some new animators, Disney. Then Jen is confidently walking home late at night to her nice duplex when a gang of 4 evil henchmen confront her in the street. Turns out they want a few drops of that sweet, sweet Hulk blood. I guess for the reason Bruce mentioned in the first episode. Though how anyone would know about that is... who knows? But instead of just poking her when she's in human form, and they could have easily gotten the blood or injected her with something to knock her out, one of the henchmen, for no reason, grabs her from behind, giving her plenty of time to chick Hulk out. Yes, he decides to grab from behind the person he knows can turn into a Hulk. So Jen with ease, because girl boss, takes out the wrecking crew. I guess the joke is how much they suck. Fortunately for the plot, Jen doesn't detain random people attacking her with Asgard technology. If only she knew someone in the district attorney's office who could prosecute these hooligans for assault. Oh well, I guess crime does pay. So let's get back to the question of why did the show bring back Don Derper, aka sexist man guy, who seemed to be a one-episode throwaway character. At first it may seem weird to make the entire B story about him. Now maybe it's just to beat up on a sexist male stereotype, but I don't think that's quite it. Comedy requires flawed characters. And, well, let's look at our main cast. We have girl boss Jen, side chick ally, and boring and threatening male. How the hell are we supposed to write a comedy around these characters? There's nothing to work with. It's like the writers wrote the first 2 episodes, realized they completely wrote themselves into a corner, and it was too late to go back and fix it. So they had to drag in the only person with flaws that they could make fun of. The ultimate irony of She-Hulk is that by infusing itself with wokeness, they literally had to pull in the one non-woke character character back into the show just so they could attempt some jokes. The show She-Hulk proves from a structural level why wokeness can't be funny. And that is truly hilarious. Though, of course, there's a more obvious problem, which is that the show is just horribly unfunny, even when they have a character to work with. It's kind of shocking, really. The head writer of the show did work on some pretty good episodes of Rick and Morty, including the funniest one of all time. Wait a minute. Did some Disney exec somewhere say, "Hey, she wrote an episode about how Rick turned into a green pickle. I bet she can write a show about a lawyer turning into a green woman."
Come on, flip the pickle, Morty. You're not gonna regret it. The payoff is huge.
I'm great at controlling my anger. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than...
Hey guys, I'm going to be doing videos like this weekly, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, me and Adam are streaming about 3 times a week or more now on the Sitch and Adam Show channel about politics and entertainment, so check it out.
And then she turns herself into a She-Hulk? It's the funniest shit you've ever seen.